Now, George Leonard is the chief scientist for Ocean Conservancy, an environmental advocacy group that focuses on keeping the Earth's ocean and all that depend on it healthy. He recently spoke with VOA's Rebecca Ward and Rick Pantaleo, telling them the ocean is in distress due to three major factors: acidification, climate change, and man-made debris like plastics. It was also the latter that recently prompted Leonard to take part in a research expedition to St. Helena off the coast of southern Africa to study the effects of plastics on marine life. His experience shows a disturbing trend that is not only unsightly but dangerous to the health of one of the world's most precious resources.
You can find plastic pretty much everywhere in the ocean nowadays. You can find it in the open ocean, the deep sea, up along the beaches, and even in the remote areas of the Arctic. We were at St. Helena because we had an opportunity to do some research there with a colleague of ours, Dr. Al Dove, who's the Vice President for Conservation and Research at Georgia Aquarium. And he studies whale sharks, and at Ocean Conservancy we focus on plastics. Whale sharks are a fascinating animal, marine animal. They are the largest fish in the sea. They're called whale sharks, but they're not whales. They're actually sharks. And they filter feed the water, which means they don't eat with teeth. They eat by filtering small animals, small fish, and phytoplankton and zooplankton at the very bottom of the food web. And because plastic in the ocean is often in these very, very small particles, there's this increasing worry that animals like whale sharks and some other fish and other whales can actually filter this material out of the ocean and become impacted by plastics. So at present, we think there's about 8 million metric tons of plastic that comes into the ocean every year. That's equivalent to about one garbage truck full of plastic being dumped into the ocean somewhere around the world every minute. So it's a pretty large number. At Ocean Conservancy, we facilitated a scientific working group a number of years ago that published that work in Science, which is one of the most prestigious journals out there, received a lot of attention and has really focused much of the conversation on where that material is coming from, which is mostly from land, and most of it is coming, about half of it is coming from half a dozen countries in Southeast Asia. The waste management system in St. Helena is quite sophisticated. It's as a British territory, they've made some pretty major investments in their system in the last 10 years or so. And so we don't think that much of what's on their beaches is actually coming from the local populace. But because of where they're situated in the South Atlantic and the way the winds blow, a lot of material is coming from offshore, and a lot of that is fishing related. There's a lot of ropes and buoys and light sticks, a variety of things from offshore, probably foreign fishing vessels is what we think. And then there's a whole sort of ton of water bottles and other materials that are branded that have languages that are not English and corporate brands that are not sold in the local marketplace in St. Helena. So we know that those are coming from elsewhere. But it is absolutely true that you can solve your own marine debris problem locally, but still have a problem because it's coming from elsewhere. At Ocean Conservancy, we have, for 30 years now, organized the International Coastal Cleanup, which has become the largest volunteer effort on behalf of the global ocean. And every September, the third Saturday in September, people from all over the world now come out in lots of countries, up to 150 countries and states, from North America to South America, through Europe, and into Southeast Asia and Australia. So we do a lot of work to get the message out by working with partners all over the world to bring people out to clean up their beach and to learn about the issue. That's one major way that we kind of get the word out there about plastics.